a little glimpse of what is to come, or perhaps not to come. I started implementing the old AAE emulator, and I progressed quite a little bit, but I don't know if the Pi actually is fast enough to run this, because AAE emulator is pretty much slower than the other emulators that I have currently working, and we certainly can try to tweak it. I'm not sure how far I can go with this. AAE in the original state had assembler CPU cores. I don't have an assembler CPU core for the PiTrex, and I'm not going to program one. I'm using, for the demo you are going to see, the C CPU core for the 6502 from Neil Bradley, but I think I got an old version of this one, so perhaps there's a faster, newer version. We will see. Anyway, just showing this to you in the current state. Don't get too excited. As of now, there are no keys implemented. I cannot run anything. I can just show you the demo as it runs, and it is getting pretty slow. I don't know if you see it on the video. This is, well, display wise still okay, but even the game slows down a little bit, and that is annoying. The game originally runs in 50 Hertz. The display now, I don't know, it's perhaps about 45 Hertz, so it's not too bad. There are about 700 to 800 vectors displayed right now, but the gameplay is also slowing down. The gameplay is equivalent to about 30 to 40 Hertz. I'm not sure how we can speed it up, even if we slow down the... Yeah, well, we could slow down the display. That probably always works. But well, the display looks much worse. What you are going to see now is another intro of Major Havoc, and once the text displays, the Vectrex is really going down to its knees. It's displaying in, I don't know, still I think about 40 or 35 Hertz, but now you can see the text, and if all the text are displayed, you will see more than 1000 vectors on screen. And even if you tweak the hell out of it, this is never going to work. Thomas for the Vec Fever did a little bit tweaking here. He does not display, I think, all of the lines together, so he only shows 3 lines, and this is a thing I might do too. Then it will display still okay, you can still read everything, and there are some tricks of such that we can still do, but my major concern might be that the gameplay actually slows down. As said, I have not implemented any keys, and in this demo mode there's always a text displayed, which explains a little bit the game. I don't know, perhaps everything will work out fine. I have not looked at the Major Havoc code at all. I'm just try to get this to run in my, well, it was not holidays, but I was away and I wasn't near any Vectrex. I wrote a little front end for the source code I'm using here to display in X Windows under Linux, so I could program. But yes, this was the first part I wanted to show you. And the part 2 of what may come or not come. Again, I'm going to the AAE emulator, and what you see now is even worse than Major Havoc. This is Star Wars. We can emulate it. The emulator is very slow. I have not had the chance yet to look at the code more deeply, but Major Havoc, the CPU emulation or the game emulation took about 20 to 25%. That's already a fair bit more than any other emulator we have got running. All the other emulators run between 5-6%, which would be Asteroids, static binary translation, and 10-15, which would be the Cinematronics CPU. This one here takes about 60 to 70% of the complete cycle time just to emulate. There are two 6809 processors which must be emulated, which, well, is a fair bit, but there must be something that is really slowing down the PiTrex. I don't know what yet. As said, I have not looked at it. On the video, this might not look too bad, but this is actually terrible to look at, and the game is slowing down. You see that at with the stars. When this full text is displayed, there are about 1700 vectors on screen. The PiTrex is not only at its limit, it's 3 times past its limit. This is now displaying in about 20 hertz. It is that flickery, and you can probably also see that on the video. We can still use some tricks, as Thomas did, to display this, and I probably will sooner or later if I get a chance to display that all correctly. But first I have to size down the emulation to, I don't know, something about 20% or less. Otherwise it doesn't make sense to optimize the vectors if I don't get the emulation working better. As with Major Havoc, I have not implemented any keys yet, so I cannot start the actual game. This is the intro to Star Wars, and well, yes, that was a second part of things that might come or might not come if I don't get them up to speed. But you should not go buy a PiTrex in expectation to play these games anytime soon. There's still a lot of things I have to do before these are playable. And as said before, this was a more or less holiday project. I'm going to return to the other emulations first, and I'm going to probably do Battlezone next. And I'm still waiting to hear back from Neil in the hopes of getting his more recent CPU emulators, which I hope I will be able to obtain. Otherwise I have to debug some more. Last thing I wanted to do was to get Omega Rays to run. This would be the first game running on a Z80 CPU. I got one of Neil's emulators, but he confirmed that it is a very old version and it has still bugs in it. Omega Rays, I more or less got it to work, but it's crashing on the second or fourth part of the intro, and I fixed already a couple of things within the CPU emulation, but everything further is, I will not say not worth it, but the debugging is really complicated. Once you get a few million cycles into emulation, everything runs fine, and then something happens. This is I think a nightmare to debug. Anyway, this is the current progress with AAE. As said, I'm probably going to stop this for now. I will return later when I got feedback. I get feedback from Neil, or all the other emulators are running as good as I want them to. But for now, this was a nice experiment and it's working. That's good for now. Thank you.